What's the correlation between negative entities and negative emotions? In addition to the word negative in the title, there's quite a bit. Entities need your energy to stay attached to you. So if you are at a lower vibrational, lower frequency, or lower emotional state, then you're more likely to attract that type of entity. If you're at a higher state, you're more likely to attract that type of entity. So in this video, we're going to talk more about how these things relate to each other and solutions so that you can get yourself out of that negative state and into the positive one. So let's get started. You might be able to appreciate the fact that there's actually only two types of suffering that possibly exists in the world, and especially in your life. There is only physical suffering or emotional suffering. No matter what experience you're having where you are unhappy with the way things are going for you, those things have to fall under those two categories and nothing more. Negative entities essentially know this, and they're going to push every button that they possibly can to make sure that you stay at that lower vibrational frequency related to your suffering. So they'll either use physical or emotional, or sometimes both. So what kind of emotional suffering are negative entities going to try to incite in you? They've really only got two options here as well. There's either the past or the present. When it comes to the past, they're going to try to help you relive those negative emotions that you had in childhood or even earlier adulthood, and they're going to make you feel those things now. Most of the time, the types of emotional suffering that negative entities cause you relates completely to whatever it was that you experienced as a child or early adulthood. So think about the symptoms that they cause you, and think about, okay, this is in relation to the way that my parents treated me, or that abuse scenario, or my peers, or my teachers, or whoever or whatever the situation was. You're going to probably find a corollary there. So it doesn't matter whether you're carrying around the negative emotions now. Maybe it's impatience that the entity hasn't left yet, or frustration, or anger, or fear that it's never going to go away, or that it is related to your childhood trauma. And these stored emotions you're still carrying around with you, and they come out at the worst opportune times, either through circumstance or, again, the negative entities know exactly what to do to cause those things to happen. So it's critically important that you resolve that childhood trauma, that you release those stored emotions. In addition to that, addressing the emotions that you're experiencing in the moment that you experience them is also critically important. If the entity is causing you fear and frustration and anxiety and disappointment and impatience and anger and so on. I mean, they can cause all the emotions, all the negative emotions available to you. Then it's really important for you to stop and recognize, okay, I'm suffering right now. How am I suffering? You can ask yourself, am I suffering physically or am I suffering emotionally? Most of the time it's going to be emotionally, because even if you're suffering physically, you're also probably suffering emotionally. Maybe you're frustrated that it hasn't gone away yet. So in this situation, identify the emotional suffering. Okay, what is the dominant emotion that you're experiencing in this moment? Is it frustration? Is it fear that the entity's never going to go away? Really ask yourself this. This is important, because once you can identify the emotion, then you can use tools to reduce its efficacy. You can reduce the pain and the suffering that you're experiencing from it. And the best way to do that is through activations. I have activations on my website. I'll leave a link in the description below that you can download that will help you with whatever emotion that you have identified as the dominant one that you're suffering from. Once you do this, you can actually now address the emotion with a little bit of logic. You can say, oh, okay, I was experiencing that emotion because of this situation. So there are more tools and techniques that you can use to handle emotions. There's all kinds of them out there. It's one of the things that I specialize in. And if you watch some of my YouTube videos, which there's plenty, you'll be able to find some other ways to do that. I want to keep this short and not go into all of that right now. but I wanted you to really understand the role that emotions play in your experience with your negative entities. As you raise your vibrational frequency, as you raise your emotional frequency, the entities will start to lose power. They'll lose their ability to stay attached to you. And even if they do become attached to you, they won't affect you nearly as much. Mostly, they won't be able to affect you as much because you're not supplying them with the energy that they need. But in addition to that, even if they are there, because you're at that higher vibrational state, they won't even bother you as much. They will be more of a curiosity to you, maybe an interest to you. Or you'll just say, I don't even care if you're there or not because I am in such a high vibrational place. I hope that you found this helpful. And if you didn't, leave a message in the comments below and let me know. Do you have further questions? Are there things that's not working for you that you think should be? I'll be happy to answer them for you. Thank you so much for watching this video, and know that I love you unconditionally. And I'll see you in the next one.